There is poison in the wine, isn't there? My hand paused at the rim of the nuptial cup as I looked up at him. The red candle crackled. The tenderness on Lu Heng's face stiffened for a moment. Then he smiled even more gently. What silly things are you saying, Jiwei? This is our wedding wine. Arsenic. I cut him off, my fingertips tracing the unusually warm cup wall. Half a qian is enough to kill, and it is hard to detect when mixed into warm wine. Personally prepared by your cousin Liu Ruyan, right? He shot to his feet. The shadow of the red candle swayed violently on the wedding canopy. You, his Adam's apple bobbed, panic finally showing in his eyes. Who has been filling your head with nonsense? Such a familiar expression. In my past life, I was fooled by this very look of panic, thinking he didn't know, thinking he was merely deceived by his cousin, until the poison took effect, and my guts rotted through, until my wandering soul saw them embracing and laughing before my memorial tablet. It doesn't matter. I picked up the cup of wine meant for me. The amber liquid swirled in the candlelight, so much like the last mouthful of blood I coughed up in my past life. Lu Heng, I called his name, my voice so calm it surprised even myself. Do you know what will happen if I drink this wine? He reached out to snatch it. I turned aside to dodge, flicked my wrist, and the rim was already at my lips. The legitimate son of the Marquis Manor drove his wife to death on their wedding night. I watched his face change drastically, speaking word by word. The reputation you've painstakingly built, your father's position in the imperial court, the child in your cousin's belly, they'll all be buried with me. Shen Jiwei? He growled. You've gone mad. I have gone mad. I started to laugh, but tears slid down first. How could someone who was poisoned to death by you people once not go mad? His pupils contracted. I gave him no more time, tilting my head back the instant. He lunged. The wine was pungent, rolling down my throat, the same taste as in my previous life. The cup fell to the ground, shattering with a crisp sound. I stumbled and grabbed the edge of the table as the twisting pain in my stomach arrived right on cue. Fresh blood spilled from the corner of my mouth, dripping onto the bright red wedding dress, dark as dried ink. Why would you? Lu Heng's voice was trembling. I slowly slid down to sit on the floor, looking up at him. This cup, I said with a smile, choking out bloody foam. A toast to you and me on the road to the underworld. May we never meet again. When darkness swept over me, I heard his broken screams, heard the shrieks of the maids bursting through the door. Then I floated up, just like in my previous life. My body was still lying on the ground, the wedding dress spread out like a pool of blood. Lu Heng knelt beside it, futilely trying to cover my mouth that kept gushing blood. It wasn't me. I didn't poison it, he said incoherently to the matrons who rushed in. She drank it herself. She did it herself. No one believes it. The room full of red candles and wedding decorations, the floor covered with shattered porcelain and fresh blood. The bride died on her wedding night. The Marquise's mansion is about to collapse. My soul follows Lu Heng. I watch him stumble toward the study, watch his father Marquis Yong'an, Lu Genting, slap him hard to the ground. You wretch, I told you to keep the Shen family in line, not to get someone killed. She drank it herself. Father, she really did it herself. Why would she drink it? The Marquis roared in fury. What kind of person is Shen Jiwei? A sheltered young lady who couldn't bear to step on an ant. Suicide on her wedding night. Do you think everyone in the capital is a fool? Lu Heng collapsed on the ground, covering his face. I watch from the rafters, suddenly wanting to laugh. Yes, what kind of person was Shen Jiwei? Gentle, timid, the legitimate daughter of the minister's mansion, who didn't even dare to speak loudly. How could such a woman use the most tragic way to destroy her own reputation, her family's honor, and even her next life on her wedding night, unless she had no choice but to die? The mourning hall was set up hastily. White banners flutter in the night wind, like hands summoning souls. I float above my own coffin, watching my mother throw herself on the casket and faint 3 times from crying, watching my father confront the Marquis with a livid face, watching officials from the Court of Judicial Review come and go. Liu Heng, dressed in mourning clothes, kneels before the altar burning paper offerings. He acts very well. Red-rimmed eyes, haggard expression, coughing softly from time to time, the very picture of a grief-stricken husband who had lost his beloved wife. It wasn't until late at night that everyone had dispersed. Liu Ruyan slipped in through the side door, dressed in plain white, her belly not yet showing Brother Heng. She threw herself into his arms. "I am so scared." Liu Heng held her, his voice weary. "It is all right now." "How can it be all right?" Liu Ruyan looked up, tears in her eyes. "Everyone outside is saying you drove your wife to her death, that the Marquise's manner mistreated the new bride. What are we going to do? What about the child?" Liu Heng was silent for a long while. "The only way is to die for love." Liu Ruyan shuddered. "What? If I am overcome with grief and follow her in death?" Liu Heng's voice turned cold. "People will be moved. Then father can petition for a posthumous title, and the Shen family won't be able to pursue matters further. Once things blow over." He didn't finish. Liu Ruyan already understood. She held him tight. "Then I'll wait for you, however long it takes. I watched this perfect couple from the rafters. How touching, in my past life. I was fooled my whole life by this show of deep affection. Only in death did I learn that they had secretly pledged themselves to each other long before I married in. My dowry filled the Marquis Manor's deficit, and my death paved the way for them. Even after my death, they wouldn't let my grave rest in peace." "Liu Heng," I said softly, though they couldn't hear. "This time, things will be different." 3 days later, Liu Heng fell ill. The imperial physician said it was grief harming his body, and medicine was of no use. The Marquise's manor quietly began preparing for the funeral. I floated in the Marquise's study, watching him confer secretly with his advisor. "The young lord must die," the advisor said in a low voice, "but he only needs to be dead for 3 months. A body double has already been arranged in Jiangnan. Once the storm passes, he can simply return with a new identity." The Marquise pondered. The Shen family. Minister Shen loves his daughter dearly, but values his family more. As long as the act of the young lord dying for love is convincing enough, he'll actually help cover it up for the sake of his daughter's posthumous reputation. Brilliant plan. If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I wouldn't have believed people could be this shameless. I turned and passed through the wall, heading straight for the west of the city. My elder brother Shen Jixing was there. My brother was investigating my cause of death. He was more clear-headed than father, and didn't believe any of that nonsense about a sudden illness. I floated in his study, watching him spread out all the clues, testimonies from my maids before I was married, backgrounds of the Marquise's servants, even Liu Ruyan's whereabouts over the past 6 months. "Young master," his trusted aide said in a low voice, "we found that Liu Ruyan bought arsenic from a pharmacy in the south of the city 2 months ago." My brother's head snapped up. Evidence. The pharmacy owner is willing to testify, but fears retaliation from the Marquise's manor. "Prepare the carriage," my brother stood up. "I'll go personally." Before he could finish, the door was slammed open. Father stood at the doorway with a dark expression. "Where are you going?" "To investigate Jiwei's cause of death. No need to investigate." Father walked in and closed the door. "Liu Heng is about to die. The imperial physician says it'll be within these 2 days. Brother was stunned. "What?" "He was overcome with grief for Jiwei and wants to follow her." Father's voice was weary. "This is fine too. At least it preserves Jiwei's reputation, and the world will know her husband treated her with deep love and devotion." Deep love and devotion. Brother laughed out loud, but his eyes turned red. "Father, Jiwei died under unclear circumstances. Are you going to cover for the murderer now?" "Shen Jixing," father said harshly. "Do you want all of the capital to see the joke of the Shen family's daughter being poisoned by her husband's family? Do you want your sister to have no peace even after death? What about the truth? Brother's fist slammed on the table. What about Jiwei's life? While they were arguing, I floated to Brother's desk. On that piece of paper, Liu Ruyan's name was circled. I reached out to touch it, but my fingertips passed right through. A ghost can do nothing. Unless I suddenly turned around, looking toward the direction of the Marquise's manor. Unless I come back to life. Lu Heng died late on the 7th night. When the news spread, the entire capital was in an uproar. The romantic tale of dying for love spread through tea houses and taverns, and even the imperial consort in the palace sent someone to offer condolences. The Marquise's hair turned white overnight. Weeping bitterly before the memorial altar, anyone who saw would feel heartbroken. Me funeral and his funeral were held on the same day. 2 coffins, one black and one white, placed side by side in the main hall of the Marquise's manor. The height of irony. I floated in the air, watching the Marquis and my father clasp hands in mutual comfort, watching the guests sigh with emotion, watching Liu Ruyan dressed in full mourning kneel before Lu Heng's coffin, crying until she nearly fainted. What a convincing act. Until late at night, when all was quiet, Liu Ruyan quietly got up and followed the Marquis into a secret room. The body double has left the city, the Marquis said. In 3 months, Henger will return as a distant cousin and marry you. Liu Ruyan shed tears. Then these 3 months? You'll go stay at the manor. Just say you are praying for Henger's blessings. When the child is born, register it under Shen Jiwei's name, counted as a legitimate son. Register it under her name? Liu Ruyan's voice turned shrill. My child, why should because you need this legitimate son's status? The Marquis said coldly. When Henger returns to inherit the title, you'll be the Marchioness. Can't you endure this small grievance? Liu Ruyan bit her lip, and finally lowered her head. Yes. Listening to this, I suddenly felt very tired. All these calculations, all these schemes, like a giant net. In my past life, I was trapped inside, suffocated to death. In this life, I tore open a gap, but it is still not enough. I want to burn this entire net down to its roots. Just then, I felt a powerful suction force. My soul felt like it was being pulled by something, plunging downward. Darkness, then blinding light. I opened my eyes and saw a plain white bed canopy. Beneath me was a soft bed, and the faint scent of medicine lingered at my nose. I moved my fingers real, warm sensations. The door was pushed open, and a maidservant came in, carrying a medicine bowl. Seeing me open my eyes, her hands trembled. The bowl fell to the ground and shattered. See, Cousin Miss is awake. Cousin Miss. I turned my head with difficulty and looked at the bronze mirror on the vanity. In the mirror was a pale, delicate face. Liu Ruyan's face. I had awakened in Liu Ruyan's body. This realization was like a bucket of ice water, making me tremble all over. Those eyes in the mirror that always seemed misty were now wide with terror. Not my terror, but the residual reaction of another soul deep within this body. Cousin Miss? The maidservant Xiaomei approached cautiously. Are you feeling unwell? The imperial physician said, you've disturbed your pregnancy and need to rest quietly. Pregnancy, my hand pressed hard against my lower abdomen. Inside, Lu Heng's child was growing. In my past life, I died childless. Yet now in my enemy's body, I was carrying my enemy's bloodline. Get out! I heard my own voice. Liu Ruyan's soft, silky voice was now cold as iron. Xiaomei shrank back and hurriedly retreated, closing the door behind her. I propped myself up on the edge of the bed and walked to the mirror. The person in the mirror had a pale complexion, with delicate features that carried a harsh look. I raised my hand to touch this face. The skin beneath my fingertips was warm and real. Liu Ruyan, I hated the people from my past life and present life. Now I am her. Hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Ruyan, Liu Genting pushed the door open and entered. He wore plain morning clothes, but couldn't hide the scheming in his eyes. Good that you are awake. Pack your things. We're leaving for the manor outside the city tonight. I turned around, looking at him with Liu Ruyan's usual soft, weak gaze. Uncle Brother Heng, Henger's matters are none of your concern. He lowered his voice. Remember, you are going to the manor to pray for Henger's blessings. He'll return in 3 months, and then you two can get married. 3 months, the same timeline as my previous life. I lowered my eyes, timidly nodding like her. Then, this child. Give birth to it. Register it under Shen Jiwei's name. Liu Genting's tone brooked no argument. Henger needs a legitimate heir. A stab of pain in my heart. It wasn't my emotion. It was a wail from deep within this body. How interesting. Liu Ruyan's remnant soul was still there. She could feel my hatred, and I could feel her resentment. Uncle, I raised my tear-filled eyes. I want to go to the morning hall, to see brother hang off. Liu Genting frowned. Too many prying eyes. Just one incense stick's time. I knelt down, clutching the hem of his clothes. Please, uncle. He stared at me for a while, finally nodding. 1/4 hour. White banners fluttered in the morning hall. Liu Heng's coffin rested there, and next to it was mine. I stood between the two coffins, suddenly wanting to laugh. Shen Jiwei's soul inside Liu Ruyan's body, looking at her own coffin and the coffin of her husband-killer. Utterly absurd. Cousin Miss, please accept my condolences. The steward advised in a low voice. I shook my head and slowly walked to Liu Heng's coffin. According to propriety, I should kneel and kowtow, but I stood. I reached out and touched the cold coffin. Liu Heng, I said in a voice. Only I could hear. Guess where I am. The coffin naturally wouldn't answer. But I knew he wasn't dead. That body double should be on the road to Jiangnan right now, while he himself was probably hiding in some secret room in the Marquise's residence, waiting for the storm to blow over. I will find you, I said softly, and then I'll let you taste true hell. A sudden cramping pain shot through my abdomen. I staggered and steadied myself against the coffin. Cousin Miss, the maid rushed to help me. Don't touch me. I shook off her hand, but felt my vision go black. It wasn't my dizziness. It was Liu Ruyan. Her consciousness surged up like a tide, crowding out my thoughts. Don't hurt my child. That voice screamed in my mind. I gritted my teeth to steady myself, nails digging into my palms. Your child? I sneered coldly inside. When you poisoned me to death, did you ever think about whether I would feel pain too? The screaming stopped. Instead, there was a mournful whimper. Just great. We have to share one body. The carriage to the manor departed late at night. I leaned back in the carriage, resting with my eyes closed. Xiao Mei sat across from me, carefully sizing me up. Young miss, she finally couldn't help but speak. You are different from usual. I opened my eyes. Different how? I can't quite say. Xiao Mei lowered her head. It is just, you seem quieter. Before, you would always cry, always ask about the young lord. The dead can't come back to life. I looked out the window at the pitch-black night. What is the use of crying? Xiao Mei didn't dare say anything more. The carriage bumped along out of the city. I lifted a corner of the curtain. The capital grew distant, its lights fading. Shen Jiwei of my past life died in that city. Liu Ruyan of this life was fleeing from that city. And I didn't know who I was. Stop the carriage, I said suddenly. The driver reined in the horses. Young miss, I feel stuffy. I want some fresh air. Xiao Mei wanted to follow me down. I raised my hand to stop her, just for a moment. The main road was silent and deserted in the dead of night, with only the sound of wind passing through the woods. I walked to the roadside, leaning against a tree trunk, finally allowing myself to tremble. Not from fear, from anger. Overwhelming rage nearly tore this body apart. I was reborn, yet trapped inside my enemy's body. I got my revenge, but couldn't even bury my own corpse. I still have to carry a child for my enemy, Still have to live on with this face. Ah, a suppressed growl escaped from my throat. Not my voice. It was Liu Ruyan's her remnant. Soul was resisting. I suddenly clutched my head, feeling two consciousnesses tearing at each other inside my skull. Fragmented images flashed before my eyes. Liu Heng's gentle smile, the exquisite courtyard of the Marquis Manor, and that mouthful of blood I coughed up before dying. You deserve to die. Her voice was shrill and piercing. You stole my place. I stole. I sneered aloud, startling Xiaomei nearby into trembling. I was the one married properly with 8 sedan bearers. What are you? A mistress who can't see the light of day. Even your child has to be registered under my name. Pathetic, isn't it? The voice in my mind turned into anguished sobbing. I steadied myself against the tree trunk, gasping for breath. Under the moonlight, I saw my hand, Liu Ruyan's hand, trembling slightly. Cousin Miss, Xiaomei approached timidly. Who were you talking to? I turned to look at her. She retreated a step in fright. Xiaomei. I calmed down and said in the soft, frail tone Liu Ruyan was best at. I dreamed of the young lord, he said. His death was unjust. Xiaomei's face turned deathly pale. Let's go. I turned back toward the carriage. It is time to set off. The manor was 30 li outside the capital suburbs, a compound with 3 courtyards. I was settled in the most secluded west wing. Besides Xiaomei, there were also 2 old women to serve, me actually to watch me. The Marquis residence's calculation was clear. Have me safely give birth here. Wait for Lu Heng to return, and everything would be settled. Late on the first night, I waited until everyone was asleep. Then I got up and retrieved a key from the depths of Liu Ruyan's jewelry box. In my past life, when I drifted after death, I had seen her use this key to open a secret compartment. What was inside, I didn't know. But now, I knew. In the 3rd drawer of the dressing table, there is a hidden compartment. Insert the key and give it a gentle turn, and the secret compartment will pop open. A stack of letters. The one on top bore Lu Heng's private seal on the wax. I lit a candle and read them one by one. The more I read, the colder my heart grew. Not love letters. Ledgers. Lu Heng, through Liu Ruyan, had dealings with Jiangnan salt merchants, detailed records of smuggling government salt. Entry after entry. Shocking to behold. There was also a letter. A secret report from Liu Ruyan to some lord about my father Minister Shen's daily schedule, who he had met, what he had said. So she wasn't just a mistress. She was also a spy. My hands holding the letter were trembling, not from anger, but from excitement. This evidence was enough to have the Liu family executed 10 times over. Suddenly, very faint footsteps came from outside the window. I blew out the candle, stuffed the letters back into the secret compartment, and lay back in bed pretending to sleep. The door was pushed open a crack. Moonlight seeped in, outlining the silhouette of a man. It wasn't Lu Heng. The man walked silently to the bedside and stood there for a long time. I could smell the faint scent of blood on him, mixed with some kind of herbal fragrance. Then he reached out, as if wanting to touch my face. I opened my eyes the instant before he could touch me. Our eyes met. He was masked, but those eyes, I recognized them. 7 days after I died in my previous life, a man in black came to pay respects at my grave and left a bouquet of white camellias. It was these very eyes, calm, deep, carrying some kind of sorrow I couldn't understand. Who are you? I lowered my voice. He didn't answer, just stared at me fixedly. In those eyes, there was shock, confusion, and finally something close to painful confirmation. You are not her. His voice was hoarse. My heart skipped a beat. Who am I? I asked back. His hand hung in midair for a long moment, then slowly withdrew. I am sorry, he said. I mistook you for someone else. Then he turned and vanished silently into the night, just as he had come. I sat up, my back drenched in cold sweat. Who was he? Why did he say you are not her? Does he know someone else has taken over Liu Ruyan's body? A wave of headache struck me, Liu Ruyan's remnant soul churning again. This time, I clearly felt her fear of that man. "You know him," I said in my heart. "Who is he?" No answer, only a deeper, almost instinctive trembling. At dawn, Xiao Mei came in carrying a water basin, looking flustered. "Miss, something happened." "What is it?" "The Marquise's manor. The Marquise's manor has been surrounded by the Dali temple." The comb in my hand fell to the ground. "They say they found evidence that the young Marquis was involved in illegal salt trade while he was alive." Xiao Mei's voice trembled. "The Marquis has already been taken away for questioning." "So fast, faster than I expected. Who investigated it?" I bent down to pick up the comb, my fingers surprisingly steady. "I heard it was young Master Shen, the young madam's elder brother. He filed the complaint." Elder brother, me eyes grew warm. The elder brother who wept bitterly for me in my previous life, who investigated my case but was ultimately suppressed by father. This time he didn't give up. "What else?" I asked. Xiao Mei stammered. I also heard that the young Marquise's coffin was opened." I looked up at her. "Inside? It is not the young Marquis." Xiao Mei was almost in tears. "It is a body double. Now the whole capital knows. The young Marquis didn't die at all. He faked his death and fled. The Emperor has ordered a nationwide manhunt." "Good, perfect." I faced the mirror, slowly combing my hair. In the mirror, a smile slowly bloomed on Liu Ruyan's face. That smile was too cold, scaring Xiao Mei into stepping back. "Young Miss Cousin, pack up." I put down the comb. "We're returning to the capital, but the Marquis ordered. The Marquis can barely save himself now." I turned to look at her. "If we go back now, we can still survive. Stay here, and when the authorities trace it back, we'll be accomplices." Xiao Mei ran out with a deathly pale face. I waited until she closed the door before allowing myself to tremble. Not from fear, but trembling from excitement. "Lu Heng, you can't escape now. I will return to the capital, and with the body of your beloved, watch you descend into hell with my own eyes." Another wave of cramping pain seized my abdomen. This time I ignored it. Liu Ruyan's remnant soul was screaming, pleading, struggling. I caressed my lower belly and said softly to the mirror, "Don't rush. Your brother Heng will come to join you very soon." On the carriage back to the capital, I rested with my eyes closed. Yet those eyes from last night kept surfacing in my mind. That mysterious man. He knew Liu Ruyan had been replaced by someone else. Then does he know who I am? If he does, is he friend or foe? The carriage suddenly came to an abrupt stop. I lifted the curtain and saw a checkpoint set up on the main road, with soldiers conducting inspections. "Who is in the carriage?" the leading soldier asked. Xiao Mei answered with a trembling voice. "Relatives of the Yong'an Marquis Manor, returning to the capital to visit family." "From the Marquis Manor?" The soldier sneered. "Get out, search." The carriage door was pulled open. I lowered my head as I got off, covering my face with my cloak. "Raise your head." I slowly raised my head. The soldier stared at me for a moment. Then his expression suddenly changed drastically. "Arrest her," he barked. "She is Liu Ruyan, young Master Lu Heng's mistress, a fugitive wanted in the case." Several soldiers lunged at me. I didn't dodge. I only said softly to the leader at the moment I was pinned down, "I want to see Shen Jixing. I have information on Lu Heng's whereabouts." The soldier froze. I looked at him, wearing Liu Ruyan's face, and showed a calm smile that only Shen Jiwei would have. "Tell him his sister has something to deliver to him personally." When I was escorted into the court of judicial review, the rain began to fall. Rainwater seeped through the iron bars of the high prison window, pooling into murky puddles on the filthy floor. This was the first time in both my lives I'd ever been in such a place. Even at my lowest in my previous life, I was still the minister's daughter, the legitimate daughter-in-law of the Marquis Manor. And now, I am Liu Ruyan, a wanted criminal's mistress, a suspect in murdering the legal wife. The cell door slammed shut heavily behind me. Just wait, the jailer spat. Once Lord Shen finishes trying the Marquise's case, he'll come to try you. I sat down against the damp wall and closed my eyes. In my mind, Liu Ruyan's remnant soul was screaming, "You'll get us killed. He'll come save me. Brother Heng will definitely, he won't," I said softly, startling the female prisoner across from me. "He loves me. He loves himself." I stroked my lower abdomen, feeling the life inside that didn't belong to me. "You should pray now. Pray that your beloved brother Heng runs far enough. Pray that he is never found." "Why? Because if he is caught?" I smiled. "I will definitely stand in the courtroom and testify. Watch with my own eyes as he is executed by 1,000 cuts right before me." The remnant soul's screams turned into wails. I let her cry and wail in the depths of my consciousness, while I began sorting out the situation. Elder brother obtained the evidence. The Marquis was imprisoned. Liu Heng was on the run, and I was in Liu Ruyan's body, carrying Liu Heng's child, trapped in the Court of Judicial Review's prison. Every step was walking on the edge of a cliff, but every step was better than my past life. At least this time, I wasn't that pitiful ghost lying in a coffin, letting them spin their story of sudden illness and death. Footsteps came from the corridor, more than one person. I opened my eyes. The cell door opened, and the torchlight stung my eyes, making me squint. "Come out," the jailer said gruffly. "Lord Shen wants to see you." The interrogation room was cleaner than the cell, but colder. My elder brother Shen Jixing sat behind the main desk, dressed in crimson official robes that made his face look even paler and more haggard. He had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes. But those eyes, just as I remembered, sharp, clear, as if they could cut through all lies. Two other officials sat beside him, whom I didn't recognize. Liu Ruyan, my elder brother, spoke, his voice hoarse. "Do you know your crime?" I knelt below the hall and looked up at him. In my previous life when I died, he was 28, already Vice Minister of Justice. Now he was 26, sitting in the position of Vice Minister of the Court of Judicial Review, interrogating me. This commoner does not know. I answered in Liu Ruyan's usual soft and meek tone. "Don't know." The official with a goatee sitting beside sneered. "Liu Heng faked his death and fled. You were his mistress, how could you not know? This commoner only knew the young lord died of illness and was overwhelmed with grief. I know nothing else." My elder brother stared at me. That gaze was too deep, as if it would pierce through my very skin. "Lady Liu," he said slowly, "you had an illicit affair with Liu Heng, then plotted to murder Shen Jue. You bought the arsenic. You administered the poison. We have witnesses and evidence. Do you confess or not?" I lowered my eyes. "This commoner did not." "None?" Elder brother picked up a case file. "The shopkeeper of Renji Pharmacy in the southern part of the city identified that you purchased 3 chien of arsenic 2 months ago. The maid Xiao Kui from the Marquis Manor testified that before your wedding night, you had a private conversation with Liu Heng in the study for half a shikan, and also," he paused for a moment, "the last person Shen Jiwei saw before her death was you." I suddenly raised my head. This detail, I didn't know about it in my previous life. Liu Ruyan had seen me on my wedding night. When memory fragments surged up, yes, in my previous life before the wedding ceremony, a maid came to say that the cousin Miss had sent a congratulatory gift and was waiting for me in the side hall. I went, and Liu Ruyan handed me a brocade box, saying it was a family heirloom jade pendant, wishing me marital harmony. At the time, I even thought she was magnanimous. So even then, she had already set the trap. This commoner girl only went to deliver a congratulatory gift. I heard my own voice trembling. It wasn't an act. It was this body's reaction. "What was in the gift?" elder brother pressed. "A jade pendant." "Where is the jade pendant?" I couldn't answer, because that jade pendant had disappeared after my death. The Marquis Manor's explanation was that it was buried with me. But now that I think about it, the bottom of the jade pendant was hollow. Elder brother said word by word, with arsenic residue inside. The imperial physician examined it. It matches the poison residue under your fingernails. Dead silence filled the hall. I knelt there, feeling all the blood in my body turning cold. Not for myself, but for Shen Jue of my previous life. I had actually been foolish to that extent. I had actually accepted the knife that would kill me with my own hands. Liu Ruyan. My brother's voice seemed to come from far away. Do you have anything else to say? I raised my head and looked at him. At this brother who cried his eyes dry for me in my past life. Lord Shen, I said softly, I want to speak with you alone. The goated official frowned. Preposterous. In a court of law granted. My brother cut him off. The other two officials exchanged glances and finally stood up. Lord Shen, you have a quarter of an hour. They left. The door closed. Only he and I remained in the interrogation room along with the flickering candlelight. My brother walked down from behind the desk and stopped 3 steps away from me. What do you want to say? His voice was very low. Beg for mercy? Or are you going to bring up the child in your belly? I shook my head, then slowly stood up. I had been kneeling for too long. My legs were numb. I held onto the pillar beside me to steady myself. Brother, 2 words, light as a sigh. Me brother's body suddenly went rigid. What did you call me? His voice was trembling. Brother, I called out again, tears rolling down without warning, not mine, but this body's instinctive reaction. Yet the sorrow was real. It is me. He stepped back, bumping into the desk. The candlestick wobbled, shadows dancing wildly on the wall. Impossible. He stared at me intently. Who are you? Who sent you? When I was 7, you climbed a tree to pick loquats for me and broke your left pinky. I laughed through my tears. Mother punished you by making you kneel in the ancestral hall. I secretly brought you steamed buns, but ended up falling myself and left a scar on my forehead. My brother's breathing stopped. At 12, you said you'd teach me to ride a horse, but the horse got spooked. You threw yourself over me to protect me and got your ribs trampled and broken. At 15, when the Wang family came to propose marriage, you rushed back overnight from the academy, saying young Master Wang had poor character and I couldn't marry him. I took a step forward. Father gave you 20 strikes with the paddle. Even lying on your stomach in bed, you still told me, Zhou, brother will definitely find you the best husband in the whole world. Brother, I choked out. Did I find him? He stood there, like a stone statue, in the candlelight. I saw his eyes turn red, his hands trembling inside his sleeves. His Adam's apple bobbed. How can you prove it? I thought for a moment. Then I undid my collar. Below my collarbone, there was a small red mole, in my previous life. Shen Jiwei had it. Liu Ruyan did not. But now, in the same spot on this body, that mole had appeared. When you were 7, you asked me, Zhou, why do you have a mole here? I said softly. I said it was from birth. You said, it is so easy to recognize. If you ever get lost, brother can find you by this mole. My brother rushed over, not rushing toward me, but toward the door. He yanked it open and bellowed outside. Everyone out. Fall back to outside the courtyard. Without my command, no one is allowed to come near. Then he closed the door and bolted it. When he turned around, his eyes were completely red. Jiwei, his voice was utterly shattered. It is me, I nodded, tears streaming endlessly. I died once, and came back to life, in Liu Ruyan's body. He staggered over, reaching out to touch my face, but froze midair. How could this? I don't know. I shook my head. All I know is, I drank that cup of poisoned wine, and my soul drifted for 7 days. Then the moment I opened my eyes, I was in her body. My brother's fists were clenched so tight, his nails digging into his palms. Lu Heng. He squeezed these 2 words out through gritted teeth. He ran. I wiped away my tears, forcing myself to stay calm. Brother, you have to believe me now because only I know where Lu Heng might go, and what cards he still has up his sleeve. First tell me. He stared into my eyes. What exactly happened that night? I told him everything, from the rebirth back to the wedding night, to drinking the poisoned wine, to the truth I saw while my soul drifted, to waking up in Liu Ruyan's body. As my brother listened, his face grew paler and paler, his gaze colder and colder. When I mentioned those letters in the hidden compartment of Liu Ruyan's vanity box, he suddenly stood up. "Where are those letters?" "Still at the manor, in the hidden compartment of the West Wing vanity," I said. "The key is with me." He took the small brass key from my hand, gripping it in his palm like gripping a knife. "The Jiangnan salt case, how deep is the Liu family involved?" he asked. "Deeper than what you've uncovered." I recalled those accounts. Liu Heng wasn't working for the Marquis was covering for Liu Heng. The real mastermind is Liu Heng. He needed the Marquis Manor's money and connections, but the business was his. My brother drew a sharp breath. "Also," I lowered my voice, "Liu Ruyan wasn't just a mistress. She was monitoring my father for some master, and those secret reports are in the hidden compartment too." My brother's gaze instantly turned sharp as a blade. "Who?" "The letters weren't signed, only addressed as master," I said, "but they mentioned Grand Secretary once, and the Eastern Palace." The last two words, I spoke very softly. My brother closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them again, there was no shock left in his eyes, only resolute coldness. "Jie Wei," he called me by my name, no longer Liu Ruyan. "You are Liu Ruyan now. This identity is very dangerous, but also the safest." "What do you mean?" "Liu Heng will come looking for you." He walked to the window, watching the rain growing heavier outside. "He is cornered now with few people he can trust. You are carrying his child, and you are his beloved." "I am not his beloved," I interrupted him. "I am Shen Jiwei." My brother turned to look at me, his expression complicated. "But you are Liu Ruyan now." He walked over and pressed down on my shoulder. "Listen to me, this is the only chance to get close to him and catch him." I understood what he meant, using Liu Ruyan's identity to lure Liu Heng out. But I would have to use this face, this body, to face the man who killed me once, and pretend to love him, pretend to be carrying his child while waiting for him. "I can't do it," I heard my own voice trembling. "You can do it." My brother's hands gripped hard. "For yourself, for the Shen family, and for those who were killed by the Liu family, you can do it." The door of the interrogation room was suddenly knocked. "Lord Shen," it was the jailer's panicked voice. "Something happened. The Marquis killed himself in the prison." My brother's expression changed. He let go of me and quickly pulled open the door. "When, just now, he slit his throat with a broken porcelain shard. By the time someone found him, he was already..." "Block all communication," my brother said sternly. "Take control of all the guards on duty. I am coming over immediately." In that glance, there was too much I couldn't understand. "Take her back to the cell first," he said to the jailer. "Solitary confinement. No one is allowed to visit." Yes. I was taken back to the cell. When the door closed, I heard my brother's hurried footsteps fading away. The rain grew heavier. I sat on the pile of straw, hugging my knees. In my mind, Liu Ruyan's remnant soul was crying. "Uncle is dead. What will happen to Brother Heng? He won't come. He definitely won't come." I ignored her. I was thinking about the Marquis's death. Too coincidental. He just happened to kill himself while my brother was interrogating me, right at the critical moment when Liu Heng had fled, and the evidence was conclusive. Slitting his throat with a porcelain shard, that is a death requiring immense resolve. Would someone like the Marquis really go that far to protect his son? Or he didn't do it willingly? This thought made my whole body turn cold. If the Marquis was silenced, it means there is someone even more terrifying behind Liu Heng. That person is cleaning up loose ends, severing all traces that could lead back to him. And am I, Liu Ruyan, also on this cleanup list? Footsteps came from the prison corridor again. This time, very light, very slow. They stopped in front of my cell door. I looked up. I saw a completely unfamiliar face dressed as a jailer, but with a straight posture and sharp eyes. "Miss Liu," he lowered his voice. "Someone wants to see you. Who? You'll know when you see them." He took out a key, opened the cell door. "Come with me." I sat still without moving. "Lord Shen has ordered that no one is allowed to visit." It was Lord Shen who sent me. He was lying. My brother's order was no one is allowed to visit, including himself. He had just gone to handle the Marquise's matter. There was no way he could have sent someone this quickly. "I am not going," I said. The jailer's eyes turned cold. Then he came in, moving too fast to see clearly. A drug-soaked handkerchief covered my mouth and nose. A pungent smell rushed into my nostrils. I struggled, but my strength drained away rapidly. The last thing I saw was a jade pendant peeking out from his waist, a horned dragon pattern, the emblem of the Eastern Palace Guards. The blood was still flowing. I sat on the haystack, feeling warm liquid soaking through my skirt hem, the dragging pain in my lower abdomen growing more intense wave after wave. In my past life, I had also been pregnant, but miscarried inexplicably at 3 months. The doctor said I had accidentally eaten something cold. Thinking about it now, it probably wasn't an accident either. Footsteps came from outside the door, not the shuffling gait of a jailer, but the crisp, decisive sound of official boots striking the ground. My elder brother had returned again. He pushed the door open and came in, carrying a food box. Seeing my pale face, his steps faltered. "How did you Lu Heng wants to meet me tonight, at the hour of Z, in the red leaf forest on West Mountain?" I spoke before he could finish asking, my voice terribly hoarse. The jailer passed on the message. My brother's gaze sharpened. He set down the food box and crouched down, his eyes sweeping over the dark bloodstains on my skirt hem. "You, the child, couldn't be saved," I said it calmly, as if speaking of someone else's affairs. "It is for the better." My brother was silent for a moment, then pulled a small cloth bundle from the bottom of the food box. Inside was a set of coarse cloth clothes, some dry rations and a packet of medicinal powder, "for stopping the bleeding," he said in a low voice. "Take the medicine first, then change clothes. Before the hour of the rat, I'll arrange your prison break." I took the medicinal powder and poured it directly into my mouth, frowning at the bitterness. "The Eastern Palace's people will be watching," I said. "Your plan is too obvious, they'll get suspicious. That is why it has to be a real escape." Elder brother looked at me. "Escape to the Western Hills, go meet Lu Heng, but I'll bring people to lie in ambush there ahead of time, and the Eastern Palace's people will also be in ambush. When you two meet, both groups will show themselves. Then the Imperial Guards will appear and arrest everyone on charges of treason, privately mobilizing guards, abducting prisoners, colluding with fugitives." Elder brother sneered coldly, enough to give the Eastern Palace a hard time. "As for Lu Heng, kill him on the spot." I looked at the coldness in his eyes and suddenly realized something. "Brother," I asked softly, "those secret letters, did you hand them to the Emperor?" He paused mid-motion. "Not yet." "Why?" "Because once they're handed over, the Shen family is finished too." His voice was very low. Father accepted tributes from the Marquis' household. Although he didn't know, he can't escape involvement. I must clean things up first. I understood. This was a desperate gamble. Win the bet, the Shen family survives. The Eastern Palace gets crippled. Lose the bet, the entire clan goes down with us. "Is it worth it?" I asked, "for a sister who is already dead?" Elder brother suddenly raised his head. "You are alive," he said. "That makes it worth it." A moment before the hour of the rat, there was suddenly a commotion outside the cell. "Fire! The granary's on fire!" Footsteps were chaotic, as the jailers all ran out to fight the fire. The inside, man arranged by my elder brother took advantage of the chaos to open my cell door and stuffed a dagger into my hands. Lord Shen said, "It is for self-defense." I took it and hid it in my sleeve. Then I followed him, passed through the chaotic corridor, and slipped out of the Court of Judicial Review through the back door. The night rain had already stopped. The streets were wet, and moonlight occasionally leaked through the gaps in the clouds. Following the route my elder brother had told me, I ran all the way to the West City Gate, the garrison commander. There was my brother's former subordinate, and would let me out of the city. Sure enough, at the city gate, after just a couple of simple questions, they let me through. I looked back. The capital lay silent in the night, like a giant beast lying in wait. In my previous life, I died there. In this life, I escaped from there. But I don't know if this is just another journey toward death. West Mountain is 20 li west of the capital, and the red maple forest is halfway up the mountain. I dragged my increasingly heavy body upward. Blood had already soaked through my skirt hem, and every step felt like walking on knife tips. But I couldn't stop. At exactly the hour of Z, I arrived at the meeting place. A clearing in the maple forest, the moonlight pale and ghastly. No one. Only the rustling sound of wind through the leaves. "Lu Heng," I called softly. A figure stepped out from behind a tree. It wasn't Lu Heng. It was that man in black, the one I'd seen at the manor last night, the Eastern Palace Guard captain. Miss Liu arrived right on time. His voice was calm. "The young lord will be here shortly." "Where is he?" Checking if there is a tail. The man in black approached. "Did you come alone?" "What else?" I retorted. "There was a fire at the Court of Judicial Review, and I escaped in the chaos. Wasn't the Eastern Palace watching the whole time?" He stared at me for a moment, then suddenly smiled. "Miss Liu, you are smarter than I thought." He paused, but not smart enough. Before his words faded, several more people emerged from behind him, surrounding me. "The young lord won't be coming," he said. "His Highness changed his mind, rather than using you to lure him. It is better to use him to lure Shen Jixing." My heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "It means," another voice rang out from deep within the woods, "Shen Jixing should already be rushing here with the Imperial Guard by now. When he arrives, he'll find you dead here, and the killer will be Lu Heng." Lu Heng stepped out from the shadows. He was still wearing that plain mourning robe, but the feigned grief on his face was gone, replaced only by exhaustion and ruthlessness. "Ruyan," he looked at me, his gaze complicated. "I am sorry." I stood there, watching this pair of master and servant. I suddenly laughed. "Do you really think my brother would be that stupid?" I asked. "Really think he'd risk himself alone for some Lu Ruyan?" Lu Heng's expression changed. "Shen Jixing is deeply devoted to you. He is deeply devoted to Shen Jiwei," I corrected him. "And I am Liu Ruyan, the murderer who caused his sister's death." The man in black frowned. "But you are carrying his nephew. The child is already gone." I lifted the hem of my outer robe, letting the moonlight illuminate my blood-stained skirt. "Just this afternoon, I miscarried." The color drained from Lu Heng's face instantly. "You, an accident," I said calmly. "Perhaps it is the after-effects of the poison you gave me, or perhaps even the heavens couldn't stand to watch anymore." He staggered a step. The man in black's gaze turned cold. "Then you are useless now." He drew his blade. Almost simultaneously, the sound of something piercing through the air rang out from the forest. An arrow precisely shot through the wrist holding his blade. Amidst the agonized screams, torches suddenly flared to life. Imperial guards surged out from all directions, surrounding us completely. The one leading them wasn't my brother, but a middle-aged man in purple robes, the Chief Justice of the Court of Judicial Review, Zhou Zheng. Eastern Palace guards privately deployed outside the palace, kidnapping prisoners, colluding with fugitives. Zhou Zheng's voice boomed. "Seize them." Fighting erupted instantly. The Eastern Palace guards the man in black brought were all elites, but the Imperial Guards had the numbers and quickly gained the upper hand. Lu Heng tried to run but was blocked by 2 Imperial Guards. I stood in place, watching the chaos unfold. Then I saw my brother emerge from the other side. He wasn't wearing his official robes, dressed all in black. Holding a bow in his hands, that arrow just now was shot by him. We locked eyes across the fighting crowd. He nodded at me. He understood what he meant. It was time to go. While everyone was drawn to the battle, I turned and ran deeper into the forest. The sharp pain in my abdomen had already gone numb. I just mechanically moved my legs, running up the mountain, running into deeper darkness. Liu Heng's roar came from behind. "Ruyan, don't run. Wait for me," a muffled thud. The roar came to an abrupt halt. I didn't look back. I knew what had happened. My brother had promised me he would let Liu Heng die before my eyes. Now he had done it. When I reached the mountaintop, the horizon was already turning pale. Below was a cliff, bottomlessly deep. Footsteps came chasing from behind. I thought it was the Imperial Guards. But when I turned around, I saw that mysterious man in black. He had actually broken through the siege. And though he was covered in blood, he was still alive. "Miss Liu," he panted. "You can't escape." "I wasn't trying to escape," I said. He froze for a moment. I walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. Clouds and mist swirled about, bottomlessly deep. "Do you know who I am?" I asked. "You are Liu Ruyan, Liu Heng's mistress." "I am Shen Jiwei," I interrupted him. "Shen Jiwei, who died on her wedding night, yet stands alive before you." His pupils contracted sharply. "Impossible! Go back and tell your master," I smiled. "His secret can't be kept anymore. Those letters, my brother has already copied them 10 times, scattered in 10 different places. If he dares touch the Shen family, the next day all of the capital will know how the crown prince murdered loyal officials and smuggled goods to amass wealth." The man in black's face turned deathly pale. "You also." I took a step forward, pebbles at the cliff's edge tumbling down. No echo heard for a long time. "Tell him Shen Jiwei is waiting for him in hell." Then I fell backward, not jumping off the cliff. It was pretending to slip, reaching out to grab the dried vine of an old tree at the cliff's edge. The moment I fell, this was something I had scouted when climbing up the mountain. The man in black rushed to the cliff's edge and looked down. The mist was too thick. He couldn't see me hanging on the dried vine. He stood for a while, then finally turned and left. Only after he was far away did I slowly climb back up. My hands were covered in blood, the thorns of the dried vine piercing into my flesh, but I couldn't feel the pain. I just sat at the cliff's edge, watching the sun rise bit by bit. Dawn broke. 3 days later, several major events occurred in the capital. First, Liu Heng, heir of Marquis Yong'an, was killed while resisting arrest. The Marquis mansion was raided, and the title was stripped. Second, the Eastern Palace guards were secretly dispatched outside the palace. The Crown Prince requested to be confined to the Eastern Palace for self-reflection. Third, Shen Jixing, Vice Minister of the Court of Judicial Review, was promoted to Vice Minister of Justice for his meritorious service in solving the case. Fourth, the fugitive Liu Ruyan fell off a cliff and died, with no remains to be found. Tea houses and taverns were abuzz with talk, all saying the wrongfully killed eldest miss of the Shen family could finally rest in peace. No one knew that Liu Ruyan's remains were a female corpse prepared long ago, dressed in my clothes, mangled beyond recognition from the fall. Nor did anyone know that the real Liu Ruyan had already changed her face and was living in a secluded small courtyard in the south of the city. The disguise master my elder brother found used a special potion to alter the contours of my features. The face in the mirror was plain and forgettable. Throw it into a crowd and you'd never find it. "This is fine too." I looked at the stranger in the mirror. Shen Jiwei is dead. Liu Ruyan is also dead. Now I can be anyone. My elder brother stood behind me, silent for a long time. "Those letters," he finally said. "I gave them to the Emperor." I turned to look at him. The Emperor was furious, but he can't touch the Crown Prince for now. He rubbed his brow wearily. He can only clip his wings first. The Liu family is the first. More will follow. About father. The Emperor knows father was framed and has granted him a posthumous title. My brother paused. But the Shen family can't stay in the capital anymore. I've applied for a transfer to Jiangnan. When do you leave? Next month. He looked at my new face. Will you? Come with me. I shook my head. Liu Ruyan should be dead now, I said. Shen Jiwei is dead too. I should use a new identity and live a new life. My brother's eyes reddened. Jiwei brother, I held his hand. You've done enough for me. Go to Jiangnan now, marry a good wife, have a few children. The Shen family needs to continue. He hugged me tightly. Just like when I fell down as a child, take care of yourself. His voice was choked. If anything happens, write to me using our agreed-upon code. Okay, another month passed. The day my brother left the capital, I didn't go to see him off. I was brewing medicine in the small courtyard. The miscarriage had damaged my body, and I needed to recuperate. A knock sounded at the door. I thought it was the old woman who delivers vegetables. But when I opened the door, I saw an unexpected person. The ninth prince, Xiao Jingchen, the man in black who placed white camellias at my grave in my previous life. He wore a plain blue-green everyday robe, standing in the morning light, holding a package of medicinal herbs. Miss Shen, he said, I've come to deliver medicine. I froze at the doorway. Your Highness has mistaken me for someone else. I lowered my head. There is no one surnamed Shen here. Then, Miss Liu? He raised an eyebrow. Or should I call you by the name of the one who crawled back from hell to claim lives? I abruptly looked up. He smiled, his smile holding no malice. Only a deep weariness. Won't you invite me in for a seat? He asked. I stepped aside to let him in. The small courtyard was simple, with only a stone table and stone stools. He sat down and placed the medicinal herbs on the table, for promoting blood circulation and dispersing stasis. Good for your body. How does your Highness know I live here? I've always known. He looked at me. From the day you died, I've had people watching in secret, watching your soul refuse to disperse, watching you awaken in Liu Ruyan's body, watching you take revenge step by step. A chill ran down my spine. Why, because I owe you, he said softly. In our past life, I should have saved you. I was stunned. I also experienced rebirth, he said plainly, 3 months before you. The first thing I did after coming back from rebirth was to investigate Lu Heng and the Eastern Palace's schemes. But I acted too slowly, didn't manage to stop you from marrying him. I stood there, not knowing what to say. That night at the manor, I recognized you, he continued. Although you changed bodies, your eyes didn't change. When Shen Jiwei looks at people, there is always light in her eyes, even in the most desperate moments. I turned my face away. What does your Highness want to say by coming now? 2 things, he said seriously. First, the Crown Prince won't let this go. Although he has temporarily lost power, his foundation is still there. It is not safe for you to stay here. And the second? He stood up and walked in front of me. There is a manor in Jiangnan, very quiet, suitable for recuperation. I'll leave the capital for my fief in 3 days, passing by there. If you are willing, you can come with me. Why help me? He was silent for a long time, so long that I thought he wouldn't answer. After you died in the previous life, he finally spoke. I visited your grave 7 times, every time I thought, if I had known you earlier, if I had noticed the Eastern Palace's conspiracy sooner, would things have been different? This life, I want to try. I looked into his eyes. Those eyes that I could never forget after seeing once in the previous life were now filled with sincerity, but I shook my head. Your Highness, I said. Shen Jiwei is tired. She doesn't want to get caught up in any more struggles, whether it is household schemes, palace intrigues, or court politics. Disappointment flashed in his eyes, but he quickly nodded. I understand. He took a step back. Keep the medicine, take it on time also. He took out a jade pendant from his chest and placed it on the stone table. This is my token. If you ever need help, take it to any Shengyuan money house, and they'll contact me. With that, he turned and left. When he reached the door, He looked back. Shen Jiwei, he said. Live well. This time make sure to live a long, long life. I didn't take that jade pendant, nor did I leave with anyone. I stayed in the small courtyard until the following spring. My body recovered, and the disguise on my face gradually became permanent. The potion would slowly alter the skin texture. And now this face was truly my own. I opened a small embroidery shop in the West City called Jiwei Pavilion. Busyness was neither good nor bad, enough for me to get by. Occasionally, I'd hear news from the capital. The Crown Prince was impeached again. Vice Minister Shen achieved outstanding results in Zhongyun. The Ninth Prince was implementing new policies in his fief. All of it was far away from me now. Until one day, a familiar figure walked into the embroidery shop. It was Liu Ruyan's father, Director Liu. He had aged 10 years, his back hunched. He walked around the shop and finally stopped before an embroidered piece. It was a white camellia, stitched on plain white satin. This flower, he murmured. My daughter loved white camellias the most. I said nothing, lowering my head to sort the threads. She has been gone for over a year now. His voice choked up. I know she did wrong things, hurt people, but she was still my daughter after all. I raised my head. Lord Liu, I said. The dead cannot be brought back to life. Those who are alive must look forward. He looked at me and suddenly froze. Miss, you, what is wrong? You look somewhat like an old acquaintance of mine. He shook his head. Perhaps I am getting old. My eyes are playing tricks on me. He bought that white camellia painting and hobbled away. I stood at the doorway, watching him disappear around the street corner. The sunlight was warm, and the spring breeze caressed my face. The proprietress of the rouge shop next door poked her head out. Miss Shen, would you like to go to Xian Temple together this afternoon to burn incense? I heard it is very effective for praying for marriage fate there. I smiled. Sure. When I turned to go back inside, I saw myself in the mirror. An ordinary but peaceful face, with light in my eyes. Shen Jiwei died. Liu Ruyan also died. But the person living now will live on well, carrying the memories of 2 lifetimes, carrying all that love, hatred, and debt, living on for a long, long time.